Heartwarming, drunk millionaire discovered in garbage by poor trash picker who changed his life. Jake was braving the biting Chicago cold, dressed in a threadbare coat that struggled to hold back the winter's chill. It was just another day doing what he could to scrape by, digging through bins behind a fancy restaurant. But on this frigid afternoon, he stumbled upon something remarkable: a man, slumped over, tangled in the debris of his once majestic life. Bill, a former millionaire reduced to a shadow, fell into Jake's world like a lost puppy, all tousled hair and empty whiskey bottles. "Hey," Jake said, his voice softer than the snow swirling around them. He couldn't bear to see someone so lost. As he crouched down, he immediately noticed the faded designer jacket and the glimmer of a forgotten diamond watch wedged beneath a pizza box. "You look like you could use a meal." Bill lifted his head, turmoil etched across his features. "I'm not hungry," he mumbled, his voice barely above a whisper. Yet Jake could see the longing in his eyes, the desire for connection slumbering just beneath layers of defeat. What did he have to lose? So, he offered his own humble lunch: a soggy sandwich and an apple. The surprising spark of fulfillment ignited between them when Bill accepted. With each bite, Bill shed pieces of his story: his lost family, his heartache, and the relentless grip of alcohol. Jake listened, heart heavy, but filled by a strange warmth from helping a fellow soul. Despite their differences, they found kinship in shared dreams: Jake's hope for his younger sister, Lily, to escape their cycle of poverty through education, and Bill's regret of a path taken that led him astray. Days turned into weeks as they bonded, each discovering strength in the other. Jake admired Bill's clever way of seeing possibilities among the scraps, while Bill drew comfort from Jake's relentless loyalty and unwavering spirit. Their friendship blossomed like a flower breaking through concrete, yet fragility lingered. But then, life quickly spiraled as reality struck. Rent was due, Jack's part-time job had cut hours, and the bills piled high. Jake was torn, trying to balance his sister's dreams with his commitment to Bill. Could he sacrifice one for the other? The looming weight of obligation pressed on him, taunting him in the stillness of the night. "Jake, you okay?" Bill's voice broke through his turmoil one evening. The sound rattled Jake from his thoughts. He felt like the world was closing in. "Just tired, man," he replied softly, but the adrenaline in his veins beat with urgency. Then a nasty misunderstanding between them unfolded just as Jake reached for some change he'd found while dumpster diving. Bill misread his motive, feeling betrayed as if Jake was only using him. The raw emotion pierced Jake's resolve when he saw the hurt flash across Bill's face. Feeling that sharp sting of abandonment, Jake slumped against the alley wall, his breath hitching. Bill turned away, the weight of their friendship suddenly feeling heavier than ever. Both men wrestled with the ghosts of their past, the American dream crumbling before them like ashes in the wind. As the night wore on, Jake was left standing at a crossroads, his heart pounding in his chest. Save his family or salvage a friendship that felt like redemption? In that moment, a flicker of hope danced in the air, but it was overshadowed by uncertainty. Could they rebuild after this? The night whispered possibilities, as Jake hesitated, gazing into the shadows where dreams flickered uncertainly. Would he answer the call for family, or reach across the divide into the fragments of a friendship that held promise? Jake let the cold wind bite at his skin, but his heart felt even colder. He watched Bill walk away, shoulders hunched, a figure shrinking against the expansive city night. Every instinct screamed at Jake to call him back, to mend the rift that had just opened like a chasm between them. But pride and misunderstanding loomed like dark clouds overhead, suffocating the warmth they had built together. Hitching a breath, Jake remembered Lily, the way she smiled when he tucked her into bed or helped her with homework. She was counting on him now, and every moment spent with Bill felt like a moment stolen from her future. Gripping the small change in his pocket, he felt both the weight of his responsibility and the gnawing ache of loss. "Jake!" A booming voice startled him. It was Tony, the diner owner where Jake worked in fits and bursts. Despite the scuffed boots and grease stains on his apron, Tony had a heart as big as his belly. You look like you've seen a ghost. What happened back there? Nervously, Jake ran a hand over his hair, avoiding the man's gaze. Just a misunderstanding with a friend, he murmured, ashamed to admit that this friend was a man whom many would dismiss without a second thought. I get it. Tony leaned against the building, crossing his arms. You know, people come into my diner all the time. Some are rich, some are poor, and they've all got stories. But you'll find that sometimes, the people who need us most are the ones who don't ask for anything. Jake swallowed hard, feeling the weight of those words. Could Tony be right? Could he do something to bridge that divide, to heal the wounds they both bore without sacrificing his commitment to Lily? I'm not sure if I can go back. It feels complicated, Jake replied, his voice cracking like ice under pressure. Listen, kid, Tony said, his voice gruff but kind. Complex problems need simple solutions. If you care about him, then reach out. Apologize, explain, but above all, listen. You'll find out things about him that might surprise you, just like how he surprised you pulling you out of that darkness. Jake nodded, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest. Would Bill even want to hear him out? Was their friendship salvageable? With a newfound determination, he turned back to the alley where he had last seen Bill. The alley seemed darker now, shadows stretching like fingers reaching for the stars above. The distance was shorter than he thought. But what if Bill was already gone? The panic bubbled up, making his heart race, almost drowning him in despair. The memories of laughter shared and dreams discussed echoed in his mind, urging him to take every step, however shaky, towards reconciliation. He finally stepped into the alley, his footsteps crunching on broken glass and the remnants of someone else's dreams. Bill, he called out, his voice uncertain but louder than the heart pounding in his chest. Silence answered him, thickening the air. Then he heard a murmur nearby, and a figure rose from the shadows, fragile but present. Jake's heart raced as he caught sight of Bill, leaning against the wall, his face shadowed but unmistakably familiar. I'm sorry. The words tumbled from Jake's lips, raw and desperate. I didn't mean to hurt you. Can we talk? Bill turned, eyes narrowing as he processed Jake's plea. Talk? He echoed, skepticism lacing his voice. About what? About how you abandon people when they need you. The sting of accusation cut deep, but Jake pressed on. No, about how I need you too. I have responsibilities. But you've been here for me. Will you let me explain? Just as hope began to flicker again, a faint siren echoed through the night, reminding them that the world around them was anything but forgiving. Would this conversation lead to healing or drive them further apart? With the doubts and fear stretching between them, Jake took a step forward, ready to bridge the gap. But what would Bill do? Bill's expression was a mixture of pain and disbelief, eyes glistening like stars fighting through the night's veil. He pushed himself off the wall, arms crossed defensively, as if shielding himself from Jake's earnestness. Do you even understand what you did? His voice trembled as he spoke, the hurt evident in every syllable. You turned your back when I was fighting the demons that you've never even acknowledged. Jake felt the weight of those words pressing down on him. I know, he replied, his throat tightening. I messed up. But I'm trying to make it right. It wasn't about you, it was about me. I let my fear of losing control get in the way. Fear. That ugly word hung in the air, thick like smoke. Bill glared at him, and for a moment, Jake could see the flickers of old camaraderie mingling with new, sharp resentment. You think a half-hearted apology can fix everything? Bill scoffed, but Jake could hear the quiver in his voice. He was still so close to breaking. I'm not asking for forgiveness right away, Jake said, taking another step, holding out both hands as if offering something precious. Just let me explain. This isn't just about us, Bill. It's about accountability. The choices I made were wrong, and that's on me. I don't expect you to understand right away, but I hope you'll let me try. Bill's gaze softened, just a fraction. The fire inside him momentarily dimmed, and Jake saw the flicker of hope reflected in Bill's eyes, a testament to the bond they shared. Why do you care so much? You've got Lily, your responsibility, Bill shot back, defiance mixing with curiosity. Because you matter. You were my rock when things got dark. I can't pretend that wasn't real. Losing our friendship weighs on me more than any of the pressures of being a father, more than you know, Jake said, emotion pushing through with each word. The silence between them felt electric, charged with years of history. Finally, Bill leaned back against the wall, trying to regain his composure. You really think I would just forgive you after how you treated me? Just like that? I hope so, but if not, I just need you to know that I want to earn it back, Jake said softly. I need you in my life. It's not just about you being there for me, I want to be there for you too. Let us help each other. The seriousness of Jake's words sank in, hanging in the air like a thick fog. Bill remained silent, caught in the turmoil of his own feelings. Tears threatened to spill as Jake watched his friend fight an internal battle he understood all too well. I don't know if I can trust you again, Bill finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. What if I let you back in and get burned again? Jake felt a lump in his throat. Then we face it together. But pushing each other away, that's not the answer. Night deepened around them, shadows from nearby buildings looming like specters above. In that moment, Jake realized they stood at a crossroads. The choice lay heavy in the air between them. Just then, a loud crash echoed from the end of the alley, drawing their attention. They turned just in time to see a figure stagger out of the darkness, falling to the ground with a heavy thud. Help! The stranger cried, urgency lacing their voice. Jake and Bill exchanged a glance, the tension breaking as they both rushed toward the sound, instinct overriding lingering doubts. The urgency of the unknown suddenly eclipsed their own struggles, drawing them closer together. What awaited them was about to test their rekindling bond in ways they could never have imagined. Could their friendship survive the chaos that was about to unfold? The figure on the ground was slumped, clothes wrinkled and dirty, face obscured by shadows. A sense of urgency took over as Jake reached the stranger first. Are you okay? What happened? He asked, kneeling beside the figure. The stranger groaned, pushing himself up on one elbow. His eyes, bloodshot and glistening, met Jake's. I need help. There was an accident. I lost control of my car. As the words tumbled out, Bill arrived beside Jake, his guard momentarily lowered, drawn in by the desperation he saw before them. Where are you hurt? Bill inquired, scanning the figure's body for any visible injuries. My leg, the stranger gasped, a hint of fear cracking through his voice. I can't move it. Jake glanced up at Bill, their moment of confrontation now forgotten, replaced by a shared instinct to help. Let us get him out of here, Jake said, his heart racing. He carefully helped lift the stranger, who winced in pain but managed to lean on Jake for support. Bill took the stranger's other side, an unlikely alliance forming in the face of crisis. As they moved slowly toward the alley's entrance, the man's breath came in shallow bursts. Please, he pleaded, desperation stark in his tone. I can't stay here. I'll pay you, just help me. Jake exchanged another look with Bill, sensing an unspoken question pass between them. What kind of person would risk everything for a stranger found in the dark? I'm Jake, and this is Bill, Jake said, trying to keep the man engaged. What's your name? Ted, the stranger murmured. Ted Granger. I need to get home. Can you call my wife? A chill raced through Jake. He could almost picture his own family, the warmth of Lily and his children, juxtaposed against this man's pain and fear. Yeah, we'll call her. What's her number? It's on my phone, in my pocket. Ted winced again as he adjusted his position. The black one just inside my jacket. Bill hesitated, looking at Jake. They shared a fleeting thought: was it safe to reach for someone else's belongings when the world felt so unpredictable? But they pushed through the doubts, guided by something larger than their own fears. With deft fingers, Jake retrieved the phone, finding himself making the necessary call to Ted's wife amidst the chaos. "Hello?" A woman's voice cut through the haze of night. "Ted's hurt. We're getting him out now. Can you meet us at the intersection?" Jake spoke urgently. The response was frantic but grateful, and he quickly relayed the location before hanging up. Bill shifted Ted, who was visibly growing weaker. "Just hang in there, man," he said, his tone steadier than he felt. "Help is on the way." In that moment, amidst the urgency and fear, Jake felt the walls of mistrust begin to crack between him and Bill. There was something about making a difference no matter how small that connected them again. The silence rushed back in, but this time it felt less oppressive and more like a team. As they carefully lowered Ted to a nearby bench, the sirens finally pierced the night air, a relief edged with tension and a reminder of what was at stake. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Jake asked, glancing at Bill, who was watching the approaching ambulance. Bill hesitated, the weight of their earlier arguments still lingering. "I don't know," he admitted slowly. "But it feels like we're still here for a reason." Just then, Ted, barely conscious, murmured, "Thank you for saving me." Those words ignited something deep within Jake. Was this the start of healing? Did every act of compassion carry them further down the road to reclaiming their friendship? In that moment, the sirens faded, but a new urgency thrummed in Jake's chest. The chaos might have brought them together again, but what would it take to truly patch the rifts between them? With that uncertainty looming over them as they faced the approaching paramedics, Jake realized their road to reconciliation was just beginning. But another thought prickled his mind: what if this was only the beginning of a much darker journey? As the ambulance pulled up, red lights flashing against the darkness, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that time was slipping away. The paramedics rushed towards them, their faces focused, efficiently assessing the situation. One of them knelt beside Ted, quickly pulling out equipment while another began asking questions. "Stay with us, Ted," the female paramedic said, her voice soothing yet urgent. "We're here for you." Jake's heart raced as he watched. He felt powerless, the adrenaline coursing through him but nowhere to direct it. He glanced over at Bill, who seemed equally transfixed. All their past arguments and distrust felt momentarily trivial, just shadows against the urgency of the moment. Why was he out here? Jake's mind churned with a mix of empathy and confusion. What brought him to this place? He couldn't fathom what might have led a man like Ted, someone with a family, someone dependent on him, to this alley, alone and hurt. "Maybe life just got in the way, you know?" Bill answered, his voice quieter. "Anyone can find themselves lost." Strangely, it was comforting, a reminder that they were all connected by shared experiences, even if their paths had taken different turns. The paramedics began stabilizing Ted's leg. Jake could see the fear etched in Ted's face. A thin layer of sweat glistened under the ambulance's bright lights. "Please don't leave me," Ted mumbled, breaths uneven. "Hey, you're not alone," Jake interjected. "We're right here with you. Help is here." Bill moved closer, an instinctive gesture of support, and for a moment it felt like they were all one unit, a fragile alliance held together by a man in need. As the paramedics worked, Jake's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and saw Lily's name. Guilt washed over him. Would she understand why he was late? Would she worry about him being out after dark? "Jake?" Bill's voice cut through his thoughts. "You okay?" "Yeah, just I need to check in." Jake quickly stepped away, answering the call. "Hey, babe. Where are you?" "It's late." Lily's voice was a mix of concern and a hint of anger. "I'm with someone who needs help." "It's a long story." Jake tried to keep his voice calm, not wanting to alarm her. Her silence on the other end was heavy, and he could hear her processing. "I'm okay, I promise. It's complicated. When are you coming home?" "I will be home soon. Just give me a little time." "Please be careful," she pleaded. "I will." And with that, Jake hung up, feeling the weight of responsibility shift back onto his shoulders. When he returned to Ted, the paramedics were ready to move him. "We're going to take you to the hospital now," the male paramedic said, securing a neck brace around Ted. "You're going to be okay." Ted's eyes widened as they carefully lifted him onto a stretcher. "My wife, I just need to see her," he whispered, his voice fragile like glass. "We called her," Jake intervened, hoping to soothe some of Ted's fear. "She's on her way." As the paramedics wheeled him away, a mixture of hope and dread filled the air. Ted's gaze held an intensity that Jake wouldn't forget. It seemed to say 1,000 unspoken words. Jake felt a strange connection, an invisible thread tying their fates together. As Ted disappeared into the ambulance, Jake turned to Bill. "This moment will stick with us," he said earnestly. "We made a choice tonight." Bill nodded, though the shadows of previous anger still lingered in his eyes. "So what now? Will we just pretend everything's fixed?" "Maybe it doesn't work like that," Jake replied quietly. "But we have to try. For Ted, for ourselves." Before Bill could respond, a familiar voice called out. "Jake! Is he okay?" It was Lily, rushing toward them, her face a mix of fear and determination. Amidst the chaos, the air thickened with new questions. Did they have the resolve to face their own fears? And could a single night truly change the course of their lives? As Jake met Lily's worried eyes, he felt a flicker of possibility. Maybe this was a turning point, a chance for all of them. But the questions lingered like the night, their journey was far from over. What challenges lay ahead now that the bond of trust was under scrutiny? Jake felt the energy shift as Lily reached him, her face illuminated by the flashing lights. Her worry was palpable, like a weight pressing down on him. He wished he could ease her fears, but how could he? "Lil, it's bad," he said, the heaviness in his voice undeniable. "Bad? What do you mean?" she asked, eyes searching his face. He could barely meet her gaze, the reality of what had just happened crashing in. "Someone is hurt." They took him to the hospital. Lily's breath caught, and Jake felt the warmth seep from the moment. The tight bond of connection they shared had been marred by this unexpected turn of events. "How did this happen?" "I don't know, he hesitated. He could feel the calluses of past arguments creeping back, but now wasn't the time. It's complicated, but we need to go to the hospital. Ted needs support." Lily nodded, swallowing hard. "Right. You're right." Her voice steadied, and Jake could see her fierce determination emerge. It was one of the things he loved about her, the ability to transform fear into action. They turned to Bill, still caught in his head with shadows of doubt swirling around him. "You coming?" Jake asked, unsure of how to persuade him. Bill hesitated. "I was about to suggest we clean this mess up, but if Ted needs us, I'll go." With that silent agreement, they moved toward the hospital, hearts heavy but determined. Each step echoed the urgency of the night. As they walked, Jake found himself watching his friends, reflecting on the transformation happening not just in Ted but in themselves. When they arrived at the hospital, the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The scent of antiseptic filled the air, sharp and foreign. A nurse at the front desk glanced up, her expression a mix of professionalism and empathy. "Can I help you?" "We're here for Ted Green," Jake said, attempting to keep his voice steady. The memories of the alley replayed in his mind, a chaotic blend of emotion and fear. "Family is allowed in the waiting area. Please fill this out." Once seated, Jake raked his hands through his hair, frustration creeping back in. The waiting felt unbearable. What if something happens? Lily, sensing his brewing storm, took his hand. We just have to wait. They're professionals. They know what they're doing. Bill sat stiffly, his eyes darting around the room, the tension in him like a coiled spring. This shouldn't have happened, he murmured. We were all so wrapped up in our own problems. Maybe that's the point, Jake interjected, his voice sharper than he intended. We got lost in ourselves. This man needs us to step outside our crap for a moment. The tension was thick. They all knew the truth. It wasn't just about Ted, it was about facing their own choices, addressing their own struggles instead of running from them. Just then, the doctor strode in, her expression serious. You're with Ted? Jake leaped to his feet, his heart racing. Yes, how is he? Honestly, it's been a tough night for him. We've stabilized him, but he's worried about his family. We're keeping him for observation. Jake's throat tightened. It was a small victory but a reminder of the fragility of life. Can we see him? Lily asked, her voice strong, holding back tears. Of course. I'll lead you back. As they followed, Jake could feel the air pulse with an unsteady hope. Once they entered the room, it was more than a hospital. This was a crossroads. Would they find clarity here? Would they grasp the fleeting moments that life gave them to reconnect? Ted lay there, pale but alive, eyes filled with exhaustion. Jake read the unspoken gratitude in Ted's gaze. It connected him deeper to the man, sparking a light of purpose. Just as they stepped closer, a sharp voice rang out from the hallway. Ted! Oh my God! It was a woman, the embodiment of panic and love. Jake turned, eyes wide, suddenly aware that this was just the beginning. How would they navigate the emotional landscape that awaited them? Questions raced through his mind. Would Ted's family be able to heal? And could they, too, face their fears head-on? The night was far from over. Lily squeezed Jake's hand tighter, her pulse a quick rhythm of anxiety and concern. They both turned their attention to the door, as the woman rushed inside. She was frantically searching for Ted's face among the sterile hospital bedclothes that enveloped him. Where is he? She cried, her voice trembling. It was tinged with desperation, and for a moment, the air felt heavy with a collective breath held. That's him, the doctor said calmly, guiding the panicked woman toward Ted's bedside. He's in stable condition, but he needs to rest. You can speak to him for a few minutes, but please keep your voices down. The woman's shoulders shook as she took in Ted's form, her relief almost palpable. Oh, Ted, I was so scared, she whispered, falling to her knees beside him. Jake exchanged glances with Lily and Bill, each of them feeling the emotional weight of the moment. The woman's tears fell onto Ted's hand, and he opened his eyes slowly, a mixture of confusion and recognition flickering across his face. Maya? He croaked, his voice weak but filled with warmth. I'm here, I'm right here. She sobbed, a few tentative fingers running through his hair. Their connection was instantly clear. This was love tangled up in life's chaos, emerging unscathed in this sterile environment. Jake felt a pang of envy, the kind that gripped at his heart. He had once hoped to share something like that with Lily, the kind of bond that transcended worry and found roots in unwavering support. But how could he, when everything felt so unresolved? Should we give them some space? Bill suggested, his eyes darting around the room. There was an eagerness to escape the emotional intensity flooding the space, an instinctual need to not intrude. No, Jake responded, surprising himself with the sharpness of his own voice. It's important we stay. We're part of this too somehow. Lily nodded, a silent agreement passing between them. They all needed to witness this, the heartache, the fear, and ultimately, the heavy burden of healing. In that moment, they collectively chose vulnerability over retreating into their own troubles. After a few moments, Maya turned back to Jake, her face streaked with tears but glowing with relief. Thank you for being here for him. You must be great friends, she said, her voice breaking the tension in the room. We tried to be, Jake replied softly, his gaze drifting to Ted, who was now cautiously smiling at Maya, blissfully caught between the nausea of uncertainty and the palpable urgency of reconnection. The doctor approached them once more, eyes flicking between the small circle of friends. Does anyone need to speak to Ted? It's absolutely encouraged, but we need to be mindful of the time. Jake felt a rush of emotions swell within him: love, regret, hope. This was more than just Ted's recovery, it was a chance to face their own shortcomings. I want to talk to him, he blurted out, surprising everyone. Maya stepped back, permitting Jake into their sphere. He took a breath, feeling the weight of both fear and determination pushing him forward. He moved closer to Ted, their eyes locking in a shared recognition of vulnerability. You're going to be okay, Ted, Jake said, fighting to keep his voice steady. We're here for you. No matter what happens, we're not leaving. Ted's eyes softened, gratitude illuminating his features. Thanks, man. I don't know what I'd do without you guys. Lily squeezed Bill's hand beside her, her expression mixed with relief and fear. They all felt the gulf of what had almost been lost, and yet here they were, standing together in the middle of the night, fighting not just for Ted, but for each other. As they regrouped outside the hospital room, a question hung heavy in the air, unaddressed but palpable. How would they move past this night, this moment, when they each had their own battles to face? With a shared glance, they silently vowed not to let this moment slip away into memory. They were stronger together, but how would they sustain this newfound bond? Just then, a phone buzzed, breaking the tension. Bill looking down. Surprise flashing across his features. It's my parents. They never call this late. The air thickened with unanswered questions. What would he say? What would they reveal? All Jake knew was that whatever happened next, their lives had already changed forever. Bill's hands trembled as he stared at the screen, an unexpected wave of conflicting emotions crashing over him. Each second felt stretched, like the painful silence before thunder rolls in after a flash of lightning. The retracing of past conversations with his parents wormed their way back to him, layers of unspoken tensions and familial expectations. Hey, Lily nudged him gently, her voice soft yet firm. You don't have to answer it now. Take your time. Bill looked up, the worry etched across his friends' faces mirrored his own. He tapped his thumb nervously over the screen, contemplating the weight of his next move. What if it's about what happened? He hesitated. What if they've heard? Jake stepped forward, resting a hand on Bill's shoulder. You can handle whatever it is. You've always been the strongest one among us. There was a flicker of gratitude in Bill's eyes, but it was quickly overshadowed by anxiety. In the chaos swirling inside him, images of past family arguments and emotional coldness echoed painfully. Would they still be there for him if he admitted he couldn't keep up with their expectations? As the hospital machinery hummed in the background, the atmosphere buzzed with the potential fallout hanging in the air. I can't just avoid this call, Bill finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. But what if they want to blame me for Ted? I think everyone is feeling a bit lost right now, Lily interjected, her warmth blending with an undercurrent of empathy. You're not alone in this, Bill. Not now, not ever. With shaky breath, Bill pressed answer. The phone felt like a ticking time bomb, the room holding its collective breath. He brought it to his ear, his heart racing. Hello? It was his mother, the generational tone of concern instantly recognizable, layered with a lifetime's history. Bill? She started, her voice thin like a whisper caught in the wind. We heard about Ted. His stomach dropped. Yeah, he's okay. I'm with him, Bill replied. He could sense the unraveling of a conversation that would take him to hard places. Oh, thank God, but we were worried about you. Your father and I were just talking, and you know how things go. We're just concerned about the choices you've made lately. Choices? He echoed, resentment creeping in. I was there for Ted. I was part of something important. A heavy silence returned, punctuated only by the soft beeping from Ted's monitors. We wanted to be there for you, but you haven't been communicating. We don't want you to lose sight of your future. Did you ever ask what I want? Bill's voice rose, no longer echoing vulnerability but speaking his truth. I am here because I care. For the first time in a long while, I feel something. We love you, but we also want what's best for you. I didn't ask for this. I'm not going to let my life be dictated by someone else's ideas of success. The words hung in the air, both liberating and terrifying. Bill's heart hammered in his chest, the conflict bubbled beneath the surface, but this time, he was standing his ground. Across the room, Jake and Lily exchanged glances. Their eyes mirrored the conversation's tension, both proud and frightened for Bill. Listen, he continued, heart pounding with a mixture of fear and elation, maybe I want to have a traditional future, or maybe I'm still figuring it out. But I refuse to feel guilty about being here for my friends. I'm done pretending to be someone I'm not. His mother's soft voice broke through the loud thrum of his pulse. Then, maybe we need to talk more. Not about expectations, but about you. Yeah, I'd like that, Bill said quietly, feeling a crack of warmth beginning to thaw the ice. As he hung up, his chest felt lighter, the shadows retreating just a little. He turned to find Jake and Lily watching him, admiration evident in their eyes. Hey, Jake said, breaking the silence, you did great. Seriously. Yeah, Lily added, stepping closer, readiness to embrace him in solidarity. You were strong. Just then, a nurse appeared with a slight smile. Ted is asking for you all. It's time for a check-in. They all shared a fleeting glance, unspoken emotions lingering in the air: fear, adrenaline, love. What would Ted share after this close call with fate? With their hearts racing once more, they exchanged comforting nods and entered the room together, fully embracing the uncertain, expecting the unexpected. But as they approached Ted's bedside, one question loomed larger than all: how close would they need to venture into shadows before they started to step into their own light? The room felt different now as they stepped inside. Ted lay there, a fragile figure surrounded by sterile white sheets and machines that beeped and hummed. Each sound seemed to blend into the chatter of their emotions, a chaotic melody of hope and uncertainty. Hey, buddy, Bill said, his heart pounding as he pulled a chair closer. The familiar scent of antiseptic was unsettling, yet he leaned closer. How are you feeling? Ted's eyes flickered open, the familiar warmth in them even brighter now. Can't complain, he croaked, a weary smile breaking across his face. I heard you were on the phone. Was that Mom? Should I prepare for a new family drama? Bill chuckled, but it fell short. More like a classic scene. We're so worried about you. Like any of that matters when you're here, right? Ted's voice was weak but steady. You always knew where you stood with us, family or not. A slight stinging developed behind Bill's eyes. He knew Ted meant it. Yeah. I thought I was doing the right thing. Being there for me is the right thing, Ted insisted, reaching for Bill's hand. The touch was tender but charged. You're strong, my friend. You're a lighthouse during a storm, not just some shadow behind me. The words settled deep within Bill's chest. They lifted him, almost like wings in that moment, and the heaviness of his conversation with his parents faded slightly. He turned to Jake and Lily, who were quietly observing, their expressions a mix of love and respect. Have you eaten, Ted? Lily asked, her voice gently laced with concern. Not since breakfast, Ted replied, his eyes briefly closing as if he could shield himself from the hunger gnawing at him. But it's not like I'm going anywhere, right? Lily rolled her eyes but smiled while shaking her head. Stay right here. I'll grab you something. As she walked out, Bill missed the warmth of the crowd. He turned to Jake, who was watching Ted with unshaken intensity. "You don't think all this is a burden, do you?" Jake asked quietly. Bill frowned. "What do you mean?" "Having to be the strong one," Jake said. "Always the rock. It's okay to feel lost sometimes." The unguarded honesty unspooled a thread of worry that had been coiled tightly around Bill's heart. "It's just I never thought of it that way. I just wanted to help." "Then just be you. That's what we all need. You don't have to carry everyone's expectations." Bill nodded, realizing there was truth in Jake's words. He couldn't build his life on the opinions of others. The prospect of a future lit with possibility became less daunting with the camaraderie that surrounded him. Just then, Ted's voice broke through his thoughts. "Bill, listen. You don't have to feel like you owe me or anyone else. Just be present. We've got your back too." A mix of gratitude and grief swept through Bill. "I'm trying to figure it all out. You're not alone in that struggle. Together, we'll find the way." As he said this, the door swung open, and Lily returned with a tray of food. The room brightened. Something shifted in the atmosphere, laughter and warmth washing over the tension like a wave of comfort. "What did I miss?" she chirped, putting the food beside Ted. "You missed a therapy session," Bill teased lightly, but everyone knew the truth behind their smiles. Almost instinctively, they formed an unbreakable circle of support around Ted's bed, each pulling from the strength of the others. Stories began to flow, old jokes resurfaced, and memories danced like embers in the air, bringing with them the warmth of friendship that had been forged in trials. Just as they began to relax, Ted suddenly coughed, his eyes widening with urgency. "Wait. I need to tell you something. I've been thinking about how to change things when I get out of here." The room held its breath, anticipation lacing the air. What was Ted getting at? What new dream would rise from the ashes of fear? Bill and his friends leaned in, hearts racing, ready to embrace whatever came next. Ted shifted slightly, the fragile light of hope dancing in his eyes. "Before the accident, I was trying to make some changes. I want to create something, a place for people like us. A shelter, a community hub. Somewhere that feels like home. Something real." His voice was still a little hoarse, but the zeal behind it fired their hearts. "Really?" Lily exclaimed, unable to contain herself. "That's incredible." Bill leaned in, excitement bubbling within him. "You want to start a shelter? That's amazing, Ted." His mind raced to the possibilities, the impact this could have. "Yeah. It all hit me while I was lying in that alley after, well, you know." Ted's eyes darted from one face to another, their interest palpable. "We've all felt alone at some point. I don't want anyone to feel that way. Everyone deserves a chance, a safe place." Jake's heart swelled with pride. "You're so right, Ted. We can help. Whatever it takes. We can do this together." The thought of uniting their strength sent warmth cascading through him, igniting a sense of purpose. Ted smiled, each flicker of hope igniting brighter. "I need support. You all know the struggles I've faced. And, well, I might need some friends who care to help get it going, too." The air around them buzzed with inspiration. "We've got your back," Lily reiterated, her eyes glinting. "We can start planning things right now while you're still in here." The three of them exchanged glances, an unspoken promise of unity binding them. They could help Ted, but in doing so, they'd be helping themselves too. They were all at a crossroads, seeking direction. This was their opportunity to turn from shadows and build something powerful. After a cozy meal, the discussion flourished inside the room, dreams danced like fireflies, lighting up the darkness that had haunted them. Ideas flowed. How could they fund the shelter? Who could help spread awareness? Bill enthusiastically shared his thoughts on getting local businesses involved, and Jake bounced in with ideas about spreading the word online. But it wasn't just about logistics. It was about making sure they kept moving forward in their own lives. Jake felt free to share how he struggled sometimes with the pressures of responsibilities, and Lily admitted she often felt overlooked. Talking with each other unveiled layers of shared experiences that made them all stronger. Ted soaked in their stories, absorbing the newfound warmth of friendship. "This is what I needed," he finally said, voice steady. "Life changes when you don't go through it alone. This is it, right here." Looking around, Bill felt the intensity of the moment. "This is just the beginning, right?" he said, a glimmer of realization dawning upon him. "We can be the change we want to see, for ourselves and for others." "Absolutely," Jake agreed, admiration visible on his face. "Think about it, what if we could create a community that uplifts everyone? This could be a place of renewal, brand new lives sprouting from forgotten dreams." With each word exchanged, the fear inside Bill dissipated. He realized it wasn't just about building a shelter, it was about nurturing a family, a community determined to rise together. They could change lives, including their own, as they walked this path. A knock at the door interrupted them. Nurse Sophia entered, eyes bright but cautious. "Hey there, just wanted to let you know visiting hours are almost over. He needs his rest." "All right." Ted smiled at her, then turned to his friends. "This doesn't end here. We'll meet again, right?" "Of course," Lily replied, squeezing Ted's hand. "We'll start planning tomorrow." As they stood to leave, Bill felt an undeniable connection to the unfolding journey ahead. They would face obstacles, they would stumble. But they wouldn't go through any of it alone. The bond they formed that night was stronger than the fear that had previously held them hostage. As they exited the hospital, the nights enveloping them felt different. There was magic in the air, a bittersweet tinge of potential. They had all transformed, finding purpose in vulnerability and strength in unity. "Let us promise to keep this going," Jake said, determination shining in his voice. "We can't lose momentum." "Absolutely," Bill agreed, his spirit lifted higher than it had ever been. "Together, we can do anything." And under the glimmering stars, they stepped into their futures, hearts wide with hope and paths glowing with the promise of what was yet to come. This was just the beginning, a beautiful new chapter that was waiting to unveil itself, one filled with compassion, transformation, and the undeniable power of friendship. Now, it's time you took a step in your own journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.